Call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. Before everybody stands, we'll have our invocation by Councilman Tonsmeyer, and then we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by members of the Etowah Valley Young Marines. We have with us Corporal Brooks and Lance Corporal Hartley, so they will lead us in the pledge after the invocation. If you'll please stand with me.
Let us pray. Loving Creator of all, you have made us in your image and to live in community. Shape our hearts and our minds and our wills as we seek for the common good of all citizens. Guide us as we make decisions to provide for our orderly life and to reflect honor and glory to you. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeling, the roll, please.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5. Lori Pruitt, Ward 6. Here.
Our first order of, thank you, Connie. Our first item is the approval of our minutes from the September 20th meeting. Council, you've had these well in advance of tonight, and you can make good use of the fact that Diane's not here to make a motion to approve them.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. She's listening somewhere, I'm sure. Our Red Ribbon Week is sponsored by the Young Marines, and as we just heard from Corporal Brooks and Lance Corporal Hartley, they are with the Etowah Valley Young Marines, and I have a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week that I'm going to read and then present to them, and it reads like this. It says, whereas alcohol and drug abuse in this nation has reached epidemic stages, and where it is imperative that visible, unified, preventive educational efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs, whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, which is defined as no use of illegal drugs or no illegal use of illegal drugs, or no illegal use of legal drugs. And whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week on October 23rd through the 31st, and whereas business, government, parents, law enforcement, media, medical institutions, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And whereas the City of Cartersville further commits its resources to ensure the success of the Red Ribbon Campaign, now therefore I, Matthew J. Santini, as Mayor of the City of Cartersville, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2012 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourage all its citizens to participate in activities related to drug prevention education, not only during Red Ribbon Week, but all year long, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free community. I'll ask those two fine ladies to step forward right up here, and we'll get that to you. Now we're going to call the ribbon grin. See Rebecca right there? We're going to hold him to do this right here. So we reach out and shake my hand right there. You just look there and look pretty. Very easy for both of you to do. Sorry, you got to stand on me. Did you get that? I did. Very good. And that is presented to y'all. Thank you so much. All right, we have a couple of second readings and zoning annexation requests. Mr. Menino.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you know, these are second readings of annexation and zoning. The first one, 77 Stardust Trail off of Summit Ridge, down near the Carter Grove area. With that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this annexation and zoning of this property, and it is a second reading. There are no additions and changes since the first reading.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Menino at this point? Thank you, sir. I will open up a public hearing relative to the zoning portion of the request for AZ 12-07. Anybody wishing to step forward and speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the zoning portion of the public hearing for the zoning portion. I'll open up a public hearing for the annexation portion of this request 12-07. And seeing none step forward, I will close the public hearing for that. Council will now take up the issue of the annexation portion of file AZ 12-07. Is there any discussion, motions, or questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now I'll open up the floor for any discussion or motions relative to the zoning portion of this request, AZ 12-07.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Mr. Menino.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. As with the previous request, this is annexation and zoning, 13 Mission Hills Drive in Mission Hills Estates. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this annexation and zoning, and there are no additions or changes since the first reading.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Menino at this point? Thank you. And again, this is AZ 12-08. I'll open up a public hearing for the zoning portion of this request. Anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for the zoning portion of the request. I'll open up a public hearing for the annexation portion of that same request. You may step forward, speak for or against at this time. And once again, seeing none, I will close the public hearing for the annexation portion of AZ 12-08. Council, it's now in your hands. We will take up the matter of the annexation portion of AZ 12-08.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry, I was wandering off there. Motion carries. I'll open up the zoning portion of the floor for motions or discussion on AZ 12-08, the zoning portion of that same request.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Welcome. Next item is the urban redevelopment plan update. Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor. This update serves as the required quarterly report to Council for the Urban Redevelopment Plan. As part of the recent State Housing Conference held here in Cartersville at the Brown Conference Center, staff presented the following summary data on Northtown activities. From 2004 to 07, we were a part of the State Housing Program. 2007, Northtown was recognized in the comprehensive plan. 2008, a new code enforcement officer was hired. Now there is targeted code enforcement for Northtown. 2010, the urban redevelopment plan was adopted, and we'll talk briefly about some of the other activities. In the last 5 years, 11 dilapidated structures have been removed from the Northtown area. The drainage improvement project has had a positive impact on an area stretching from Douglas Street west along Wells Street to Gilmer Street. It also included new curb and gutter, and city replaced old gas, water, and sewer lines in the area. There's been the completion of the new park on Douglas Street, and you see the breakdown on cost. In the area, we have 5 area habitat houses completed in the last few years, and 2 more on the way on Martin Luther King near Gilmer Street. There is a recently completed, that picture is a couple of months old, Housing Authority house on Martin Luther King, where the park used to be. A few years ago on Johnson Street, there was a private renovation of an apartment complex. And I will stress that overall, the Northtown activities and the positive effort would not have been possible without a partnership and all the efforts of both the nonprofits, the private owners, and the city. In Northtown, there have been many homes renovated privately in the last few years on Douglas Street, Gilmer Street, Mary Street, and others, and there are plans for a new privately funded house on Gilmer Street. And in general, all these activities have resulted in the last 5 years in a decrease in the number of deteriorating structures in Northtown. Code enforcement 5 years ago took a survey in which 19% of the structures were designated as deteriorating or dilapidated. A few months ago, that same survey was completed, and it now stands at 14%, and there are 0 dilapidated structures in this Northtown area, meaning they are in need of imminent removal. Thank you.
Thank you. So anybody have any questions for Richard?
I'd like to have a comment after Lori.
I just wondered if it was possible to get a copy of that particular slide, just to see the improvement with the 14% deteriorating or dilapidated. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. It's great news.
That's been exciting to watch, and thanks to all the folks that Richard named, and to others, but you can see the difference, and I think it's a momentum that's going forward.
Very good. All right. Next item on the agenda is Downtown Development Authority appointment. Ms. Courier.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, the Board of Directors of Cartersville Downtown Development Authority requests the appointment of Earlene Burke to the board. She would take the vacancy of Billy Archer, who resigned at the September board meeting, and if appointed, her term would expire on February 18th, 2014. Ms. Burke is a Cartersville resident, has been since 2000, is a CPA, and has a lot of experience in financial accounting. I think she'd be a good asset to the board, and I do ask for your support of the board's recommendation of Earlene Burke to the DDA.
Any questions of Ms. Courier on this item? Chair will entertain any discussions or motions.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Ed, you've got the next bit here.
Mayor, Council, the first item I have here is a change order to the MLK sewer project. We have historically had a problem with the water line on Ford Street. It did not deliver adequate fire protection to the residences there. It was a one-way feed line. We had 2 concurrent sewer projects going on at the intersection of Ford Street and MLK. And we felt that while we had the intersection dug up, it would be best to go ahead and tie this water line into the existing water line on MLK. We received prices from both of the contractors working there. TJ Lyle and Company submitted a bid of $8,590.41. And so while he was in there working, we had him go ahead and tie in this water line. It's significantly improved fire flows out of the hydrants. The Water Department recommends approval of this change order increase in the amount of $8,590.41. That brings the total contract amount to TJ Lyle and Company to $44,255.21.
Any questions on this item? If there's no discussion, Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the purchase to TJ Lyle.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Continue on, please.
The next item is the final adjustment change order to the South Irwin Street 12-inch water main replacement project. This is a contract with TJ Lyle and Company. The original contract amount was $514,840.85. We added additional piping to the project. This was to make the tie-ins on side streets, and he had submitted a good price for this 8-inch line. We ended up installing an additional 1,230 feet of 8-inch pipe. This resulted in an increase of $60,645.63. Brings the final adjusted contract amount to $575,486.48. We recommend approval of this final adjustment change order in the amount of $60,645.63. This work will be paid for from capacity fees.
Okay. Questions on this item?
What was the original budget for this project?
Pardon?
What was the original budget for this project?
Well, the original bid amount was $514,840.85.
I know that. Well, what I'm saying is, are we still under what we originally were budgeting?
It actually came in quite a bit lower than what we anticipated. TJ Lyle and Company submitted a very low bid amount, and this price per foot on the 8-inch line of $30 a foot, we've typically seen $50 per foot, so we felt like it was a really good opportunity. We put a new line all up and down the League Street and up and down South Avenue, so I think the residents there are very happy with the situation.
Any other questions or discussion? And if not, a motion would be in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please, Ed.
The next item is a change order for the rehab of the grit collector at our water pollution control plant. We had an ongoing project with A&D Contracting to replace the grit collector. While they were in there working, we found some additional pieces of machinery that were rusted out and needed replacement. This resulted in an increase of $13,050.41, bringing the total project cost to $64,315.48. We recommend approval of this change order. We do have the verify and save documentation in hand.
What's that grit collector?
It's a piece of equipment that at the front of the treatment plant, and what it removes inert material coming into the plant, like sand, gravel that somehow found its way into the sewer.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Motion to approve the change order.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Engineering service, still you, Ed.
The next item is a fee amendment for Jacobs Engineering. As I mentioned, on the South Irwin Street project, we added a considerable amount of work to that. That increased the duration of the project, involving more project meetings. Jacobs Engineering has requested an additional $2,200 for the increased scope of this project. One thing I'll comment on, that brings the percentage of engineering fees to the total construction cost on this was 10.84%, which is a good range. It can, it's not unusual on a project like this to have it as high as 15%.
Okay. Discussion or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Stafford, I believe, has the next item.
Jim Stafford, Water Department, Mayor and Council. A couple of months ago, we were talking about doing a replacement water line on Tennessee Street, and I was asked by the city manager to look at several engineering firms, and the water department sent out a request for proposals for 4 qualified engineering firms to design, do the bidding process, construction services, and inspection for this Tennessee Street water line. This is a time-sensitive project, and we have, because DOT is waiting on us to do our work before they resurface, so we've actually lost 8 weeks of time due to, doing this rebidding, but I think we got good results. The firms were directed to use local surveyor for the survey work. We've formed a panel of 5 people in the water department, and each of the people went to the 4 presentations, and each independently voted on who they felt was the best qualified and would do the best job on the project. The firms were judged on technical approach, team qualification, experience with similar projects, and price. And Prime Engineering won unanimously. All 5 people felt that they would do the best job. Prime Engineering was the second low bidder by $22,000. And most of that, well, that was attributed to a different price in inspections of the project. We asked that a full-time inspector be provided by the engineering firm, and so that's what that was, the difference. The low bidder, Brown and Caldwell, provided a person who was a retiree from DOT and had never been involved in water line installation or inspections. Prime Engineering provided a registered professional engineer of Georgia Tech who has 7 years of field experience. He would be the person who does all the AutoCAD construction drawings, basically designing the line. He would be the lead engineer for making decisions on unforeseen conditions, and he was responsible for as-built drawings and GPS location. And with his qualification, put them ahead of anybody else in the field. And the fact that having a registered engineer standing there who did the design work, he can make instantaneous changes if necessary and keep the project moving. But after the selection process, the scope was actually changed, and some of it was due to suggestions made by the 4 engineering companies when they did their presentations. We changed the routes in some cases to pick up some bad lines that were on Douglas Street, so we did a loop from Tennessee, Douglas, and back. We actually added 3,800 linear feet to the project. So the price is more than actually was bid on the qualification bid. The price as on the modified project is $280,708.18. The price included $63,000 for allowances, which doesn't go to the engineering company, but it's for geotech work, underground locations, easement drawings, and these if these services aren't used, we don't have to pay for it. Baker Surveying, the local surveyor, actually will be doing the survey work, working for Prime Engineering, and the easement drawings they will do, and they will be paid up to $57,000, which is a local company that we tried to get somebody involved. And I recommend approval of this contract with Prime Engineering for doing this line. The project would be paid for out of a revenue bond that was passed a few months ago, and all the information is in hand. I recommend we have them do this project.
When will assuming this passes and gets signed and everything, when would you anticipate, when are people going to start noticing that there's something going on Tennessee Street?
Well, the surveying would probably start, I would say within less than a month, probably a couple of weeks, because we have to survey Tennessee Street and all the roads adjoining, a lot of stuff down Douglas, and so they would start seeing some survey work going on. But a lot of the engineering, as far as sort of laying out the project, is already done in order to bid it. I mean, you know, to say how much it would cost to do the job. But I think certainly within a month, there will be people out there surveying and trying to. One thing too, these folks are sort of specialized in this size of a project. They do quite a bit of them, DeKalb County, Atlanta, different counties. They probably do more of this size project than anybody that we talked with, 3 to 5 a year. And they're usually in congested areas like this. One thing they like to do, which we were impressed with as well, anytime there's a close proximity of structures or utilities, they do a 1 inch is 20 feet drawing instead of a 1 is 50 in order to actually see where you are, so the contractor will know exactly what he's got to do to get through there. I mean, they're one of the best engineers that we found for doing this kind of a project. And so we were impressed with them.
Very good.
Any questions?
I mean, I know that, you know, I beat you up pretty good. I always want you to look at other engineering firms, and I thank you for doing that. I know we lost 8 weeks. But do you, I mean, in your opinion, do you think we came out with probably a better job, or did we save some money? Was it a beneficial thing to do?
Probably, it's hard to say exactly. JJ&G was third, you know, I mean, these guys were second. JJ&G was third, or Jacobs, and then Rent McDuff was the highest. Bottom line, we probably did save some money by doing a competitive look at these folks. I just don't know how much that is, because once we selected the person, we modified the project, so you know, it's hard to say.
Appreciate all the time and effort you put into that. Sounds like we'll celebrate when the project's over, right?
We actually learned something by interviewing the different folks, because, I mean, that's what you need out of an engineering firm, somebody that can, you know, show you things that need to be done, and we feel real confident with these guys doing a good job.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Question. With this work, after being completed, will this be beginning for the Tennessee Street to be paid?
Well, once this is complete, DOT will do the paving. And they have agreed to wait till we get this finished, but we have until 1st of January of next year. So, I mean, we have a year and, 15 months? Mm-hmm. And it's going to take the majority of that time to get this done.
Okay. Wow. Good answer.
It could be close if we don't have, if there's any big problems. See, there's a 4x4 or 4x6 culvert that runs down Tennessee Street, so, you know, it's hard to get under. It's just a complicated job.
What kind of disruption in general relative to traffic and business?
Well, we're gonna be off the road with the water installation. The problem is, most of this, the sidewalk is the right of way. So, I mean, we're gonna have to do easement drawings on all these pieces of property. And one reason we can go down Douglas and go down through there is we don't have to get easements in places that don't have any place to put it.
Right.
So that was one of the things we sort of learned by talking with them. It's easier to go around than to try to buy a frontage easement on Tennessee Street. Mm-hmm. So, but it will all be off the road. Oh. But we will probably be requesting for the DOT to close one lane in order to work. Right. And since they want to get us out of there, I think they'll cooperate, I think they'll cooperate with us.
Do you ever do any of that kind of work at night? Is that
Well,
ever
and that was
possible?
something that these guys suggested too, that if the DOT doesn't want to do that, then we can require that the contract do everything at night except just some specific things.
Right.
And if you're working during the winter, probably have better progress, in the summer because it's cooler,
Right.
which we will be working summer, fall,
Yeah,
and there's a good chance we'll be doing that, but it probably would make it go faster if we did it at a time.
I appreciate you doing this for me. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, any other discussion or questions?
Just a couple more questions. The payment to the local surveyor, is that part of the allowances or is that separate from?
That's in the price.
Part of the 63,000 for the
Well,
allowances, or is that
part of
another
it
part
is-
of it?
Part of it is definite we pay for
Mhm.
the survey on all the stuff,
Right,
all the easement drawings, depending on how many we have to have, that makes that 57, go up to 57,000.
okay.
So I think there's about 35,000 that's fixed, and the rest of it is if we need them, and we know we're gonna need quite a few.
Right. And so the easements that you're talking about, are those construction easements, or are we looking for new permanent
Both.
easements? Okay, okay. So we'll have some potential
More construction
issues.
easement than
Okay.
anything, because
Okay.
if we don't get in the street to do the work,
Mhm.
and we have to get a construction easement from every piece of property, it's just really gonna be complicated.
Right. And do we have an idea of and I know you've told me this before, I forgot, the anticipated total construction project cost?
Between $1.5 million and $2 million, I think we had $2 million in the bond to do this. And we're hoping it'll come out 1.6, 1.7.
Right. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. If there are no other discussion or questions, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve the contract with Prime Engineering.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you again, Jim. Ed, you've got the next couple again, please.
Mayor, council. Recently, Public Works Department announced that they were doing a sidewalk replacement project on West Avenue. We have a need to replace the water line in that area, so we felt that while that was going in, it would be best to go ahead and replace the water line. This is from Plymouth Drive up to Lee Street. Southland Engineering's doing the engineering on the sidewalk replacement. We requested them to give us a price or a proposal for engineering services for the design and permitting and contract administration on this water line project, which consists of about 3,200 feet of 12-inch water line. They submitted a proposal in the amount of $19,550. We feel this is a reasonable price, and it will afford us an opportunity to have about a 50% savings by going ahead and putting the water line in front of the sidewalk versus coming back at a later date and removing the sidewalk and replacing it. We recommend approval of this contract in the amount of $19,550. The cost to be paid for from the budget for capital improvements with bond issue funds. We do have the E-Verify and Save documents in hand.
Okay. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve the contract with Southland Engineering.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Bids were accepted by the Water Department for a dump bed for a new truck purchased by the Water Department. The low bid in the amount of $9,600 was received from Womack Truck Body. We recommend approval of this purchase from Womack Truck Body in the amount of $9,600. We do have the E-Verify and Save documentation.
I hate to ask these stupid questions, but you buy a truck bed for a truck, who installed that bed, the bed for the truck? You got the...
I'm assuming they will.
They will?
They do,
Okay.
yes.
You buy the truck, then you get ready for the bed, you go back to the manufacturer.
No, this is an independent provider. And as Public Works mentioned, they do the similar process with the trucks they purchase. It gives you a chance to get it at a lower amount versus the truck dealer will often roll in a lot of
Walmart
extra
Truck Body will install the bed on the truck,
Yes.
and that's part of the $9,600.
Right.
Very good. Motion would be in order.
Make a motion to approve the purchase from Walmart Truck Body.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ed. Bob, you got the next few here.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. 2 meetings ago, I think, council voted to purchase the precast box culvert for the Wansley Drive project. What we have here is we solicited 3 bid quotations on the labor to install this box culvert. The culvert's scheduled to be delivered around the 15th of this month. We had 3 bids. Bartow Paving bid $112,697.50. Johnny's Grading and Hauling bid $106,836.20. And C.H. Kirkpatrick and Sons Construction bid $89,933.63. Our engineering estimate on the labor of this was about $70,000, so it came in a little bit higher than what we'd hoped it would. But we'd like to recommend the low bid from C.H. Kirkpatrick, who is a local contractor, in the amount of $89,933.63. E-Verify and Save documentation's on file already. This is a budgeted project, and it is well within budget.
Okay. Any discussion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Bobby.
Okay, this particular item came in was almost late for the agenda, but we squeezed it in. Fox Environmental had, if you remember, Mayor and Council had voted on a contract for her assistance on our stormwater management, various items that we're required to do and monitor and keep up with for the state of Georgia. Water First is a program that is sponsored by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. And it's a voluntary partnership between local government, state agencies, and other organizations working together to increase the quality of life in communities through the wise management and protection of our valuable water resources. It's a proactive approach to the water resources, and it requires local governments to make the connection between land use and water quality, and requires thinking beyond political boundaries to recognize the links created by shared water resources. To be chosen for this program, and we think we've got a very good chance once we get the application submitted, because a lot of the stuff that's on the application and the requirements we're already doing. Either we in stormwater, Jim and his water and sewer have worked extensively on some stuff for ARC. So we feel almost certain that we're going to get chosen for this designation. And what this will do for us is it will give us a reduction on GFA loan interest if we have to borrow money to do various projects. It'll also make us eligible for community block development grants on an annual basis for water-related projects. And it'll also allow us to receive priority for 319 grant funding, which we are always looking for grant funding. So what we'd like to do is recommend the council authorize the mayor to sign this application so we can get it submitted. It doesn't cost anything. Fill out the paperwork and see how it goes.
Very good. Any discussion? If there's none, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve the recommendation that the mayor sign the application for the Community Fair Water First Community designation.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Bobby.
The next item is a value engineering study that is required when Georgia DOT projects trip the $10 million threshold. This is an instance where there's a private engineering firm that is hired to oversee all the plans and all the specifications for a project this size to make sure that look for opportunities to add project value and save dollars. AMEC, I call them AMEC Earth and Environmental, but it's actually it's AMEC Environment and Infrastructure. It's a spinoff of the company that helped us do our stormwater utility. Is the chosen engineering firm that GDOT has designated to do this study. The amount of the study is $49,639.69. It will be funded with our 2003 SPLOS funds. E-Verify and Safe documentations are in order. And we did discover, if I'd read the material prior to the work session, I know a little bit more about what's going on, but this particular study will be delivered to us before November 14th of this year.
Any questions for Bobby on this item?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Porta.
Mayor, next item is the Main Street Gateway. Our electric department has run into a conflict with Georgia Power as they're extending their lines underground on Main Street. We already had an agreement with Georgia Power to run their line underground, but this one, there's not enough room for our electric system to move their lines a little bit further to the north because they're going to hit the natural gas line. So we need to get Georgia Power to move the underground line that's existing at a cost not to exceed $14,376. I recommend approval of this.
Any questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Last item.
Yes, Mayor. The next item is at the airport hangar that Phoenix Air recently built out there. Back in March and April of this year, the Bartow County Water Department installed a sewer system to serve that new airplane hangar. And the cost was split between our city government as well as Bartow County Water, and Phoenix Air as well as the Airport Authority. The initial cost was estimated about $161,000. It came in at about just under $185,000. The county has billed us the original proportion, which is $34,221.63. I recommend approval of the payment of this invoice. This is helping us, obviously, for the economic standpoint with the airport, for make sure we serve Phoenix Air, which is a major corporate entity in Cartersville.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dan. Any other items that need to come before council this evening? Seeing or hearing none?
Fall Festival. Diane's not here, so I gotta say something.
Go ahead, do something.
I'm driving a tractor. I've never driven a tractor, so I'm
So say, stay off the roads.
Yes.
When and where is this?
Fall off of it.
I know it as the old middle school gym, but it's the primary school gym.
Okay.
Right there, it's for I guess it's the primary school and elementary school. Does the Fall Festival. I don't know a whole lot about it, I just know it's supposed to be there.
Okay.
Driving in to do a cakewalk, I'm sure they have a cakewalk and whatnot.
Is that this Saturday?
This Saturday, I think it starts at 11-ish.
11-ish.
Come at 11, it's probably it's probably underwear or just getting there.
That's what time I was
Make it up. Make it up.
Thank you for the specifics on that. Anything else? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.